May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be pleasing in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Amen. Good morning.
Good morning.
2 weeks ago, I enjoyed one of the most extraordinary experiences of my professional life. I always feel the need to remind everyone that I'm a lawyer, not a priest, when I stand here. So when I say my professional life, that's what it pertains to. And I am grateful for the opportunity to preach today and sub a bit here on Louise's first morning at the helm. So bless her and her good work today. By a serendipitous meeting last October, I received and accepted an invitation to help teach a short course at Mackenzie Presbyterian University in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Mackenzie's law school drew together lawyers and law professors from across Brazil, Colombia, the UK, and the US, that was me, to discuss access to justice and clinical legal education. It was a gift to spend a week with brilliant, passionate lawyers, law students, and teachers who are seeking justice in their communities. My new Brazilian friends, Pedro, Paula, Felipe, are seeking good ways to expand their law school's pro bono services in Sao Paulo to advance human rights and to expand and to innovate their teaching. My new best mate from England, Alan Russell, runs a legal advice clinic in one of the poorest districts of London, serving hundreds of poor immigrant clients each term with his students. We also heard from Professor Daniel Bonilla, who runs a human rights clinic through his law school in Bogota, as Colombia emerges from decades of civil war. We learned from law students and attorneys and NGOs who are working with laborers across Latin America and within Brazil to ensure just working conditions, from psychologists and law professors who are working with victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse in favelas, from lawyers and nurses in several NGOs working to welcome and empower refugees from the Middle East and Africa as they immigrate to Brazil for shelter. My contributions were a description of our public interest, pro bono, and human rights work in the Pepperdine Legal Clinics, which I direct, and a discussion about our teaching methods to prepare students to be ethical, excellent lawyers through this good work of social justice. Along with all of this inspiring work, the Brazilians lived up to their incredible reputation for hospitality. The food never stopped. The drinks never stopped. They showered us with gifts, and especially to me, lots and lots and lots of coffee, which was fantastic, which I'm still drinking, and will be drinking for weeks. They were very patient with my awful attempts at Portuguese, even as we spent hours under southern stars talking about our dreams of moving our nations toward justice, inclusion, and love. It was beautiful to connect with new friends, hustling for human rights with bright, committed, kind, curious people trying really hard to make the world a better place. But while I was abroad in these remarkable conversations about our beloved communities, word came that the U.S. government had closed its borders to refugees from 7 war-torn nations, denying the peace, hospitality, safety, and survival that we had already promised these families who are literally running for their lives. Baseless fear interrupted the promise of these families, the lives of hundreds of thousands of desperate, forlorn people on our doorsteps. These orders also disrupted the plans of thousands of compassionate Americans who had prepared for months to receive them in their homes, in their churches, in their houses of worship, in their schools. But these moves also motivated literally hundreds of thousands of more people to rise in defiance to cruelty. The contrast between the hope and the inspiration of my Brazil trip and the country, my country, to which I was returning was stark. Then, to prepare for this sermon on a plane from Sao Paulo to Lima, I read again the passages from today's lectionary. Now, at the risk of repetition, I want us to hear those words again from Isaiah, the Psalms, and Matthew, because they preach. Shout out, do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Announce to my people their rebellion. Will you call this a fast? a day acceptable to the Lord? Is this not the fast that I choose? To loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin? Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, Here I am. If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and your gloom shall be like the noonday. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your needs in parched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters never fail. Light shines in the darkness for the upright. The righteous are merciful and full of compassion. It is good for them to be generous in lending and to manage their affairs with justice, for they will never be shaken. The righteous will be kept in everlasting remembrance. They will not be afraid of any evil rumors. Their heart is right. They put their trust in the Lord. Their heart is established and will not shrink until they see their desire upon their enemies. They have given freely to the poor, and their righteousness stands fast forever. They will hold up their head with honor. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hidden. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your God in heaven. Now is the time, family. Let us shout out. Let us not hold back. In the face of bigoted, immoral cowardice, let us rise with courage and welcome our poor neighbors. Let us give refuge to the oppressed. Let us lift and shatter the yoke of injustice. We know this is true and righteous, that we love and welcome our neighbors as ourselves. If we will be righteous and not shrink from evil, let us give freely and bring the homeless poor into our homes. Light shines in the darkness, and we are in dark days. We ought to be ashamed when our nation and government becomes fearful and cruel, greedy and small. This is the time for us, in this church, in our communities, in our nations, for all people to be salt and light. And there is light breaking through. When I landed at LAX Monday morning, I saw pictures of this beloved community, of you, all gathered on this altar with messages of hope and solidarity for our refugee brothers and sisters. Customs was empty at LAX thanks to the work of tireless lawyers and the collective voices all around the country, and that fight continues today. Another example, our great friend, Brittany Stringfellow Odie, my colleague at Pepperdine. She's an elder in her community church in Long Beach. This week, she and her church welcomed an Afghan family to their new, fully furnished home after they had been detained for 7 hours by executive order, after months of vetting and waiting. When Brittany and her church offered an opportunity to sign up to fully furnish that apartment, Brittany and her family waited about 30 minutes, and all they had left to bring were brooms. Her church poured out to take care of that family. Our Mormon friend, Richard Peterson, shared a story that the LDS Church has determined that they will commit $5 million more this year to refugee resettlement. Our own diocese has declared itself and our churches to be sanctuaries for migrants and refugees. At Pepperdine, where I and so many of us work and live, our university president has declared that our school will support, protect, and defend our international students and dreamers from reactionary exclusion and anti-immigrant actions. At airports all around this big, generous country, From red states and blue states, people rose to demand justice and refuge for our neighbors seeking peace in our home. This week, so far at least, America is again welcoming refugees from these nations after pitched court battles and nonviolent protest. But these challenges, we know, are evergreen and global. If we are serious about being a city on a hill, then we must always tend to our lights and defend our city from darkness. We must have constant vigilance against those who would build walls of fear and greed. People out there in the dark world, they need to be able to find their way to safety and hospitality. So church, let us be extravagant in our hospitality. People are people are people, so let us give and give and give. Let us be courageous to welcome strangers in need, even if they're a little scary. Let us reject fear and reject those who would coerce us into silence. Let us love fiercely without borders, because love is love is love is love, and may it gush out and spill over the whole world. Let us rise with voices like trumpets for justice. Let us fight with the fierce urgency of now. Every precious soul on this planet bears the divine image of God. So by God, let us love them with all of our hearts. Amen.